Morning. My name is Gabriel Delgado Soto, and today I thought I'd talk about love. Some. This one's a complicated subject because I try to listen around and see what it is that other people think about love, so that I can figure out what the differences are between the general viewpoint of what this is and my viewpoint of what it is. And I get it. It's romantic. It's enticing, seductive to say love is eternal. To say love is unconditional. To say love is uplifting. And the reason saying those things could be a little confusing is because they don't actually apply in all aspects of love. Love unconditionally does not mean that you love other people unconditionally. You do in a way, but you don't. Really, what you love is who you are as a human being, is love. So let's say one day, like right now, y'all live on a surface. You have your ups, your downs, your this, your that. Okay, let's say one day you could leave that spot. All these emotions toiling, broiling through you, and they started to calm down. Your emotions actually started to calm down. Now you're getting into the subconscious area. You're a little calmer, you're a little bit more tranquil. Things aren't as, like, let's say, someone starts yelling, you're not as easily moved to go into a negative position. You're not as easy to anger or to grow jealous or to grow envious, these kind of things. As you start dropping these things, well, what you're going to find is that what used to feel normal stops feeling normal. All of a sudden, it's like a day by day, things get lighter and lighter and lighter. And then there's this calm and tranquility that permeates everything, and it's empty, and it changes how you behave, it changes how you react to. That's love. Okay, that right there is love. As it starts to grow and grow and grow. Now, why would it be unconditional? Because it's yours. It's obvious you're going to make mistakes. It's always going to be okay with that. It's you. Now, most people can't do that. Most people that make mistakes do right now, I made a mistake. And don't get it twisted. I do it from time to time too. Used to do it a lot more before I got to this point, and a lot less before I got to this point. Like, when you're a kid, love infuses you through and through. It literally animates your very being as a kid. Then as you get older, they beat it out of you. They tell you what love should be. They tell you what love could be. They tell you what love would have been. Because they themselves were confused about what love was. So it's something that's inside you, and it's something that grows over time as you become more and more comfortable with yourself, as you become more and more honest with yourself, as you become more and more forgiving of yourself. As you start to step out of your own way, love begins to blossom inside of your heart. Now, as it blossoms, funny thing happens. Really funny thing happens. People notice. And maybe they'll call it confidence, or they'll call it this, or they'll call it that. I do think that they've literally just created a bunch of virtues surrounding that one change. And these virtues just depict the different aspects of that whole overall thing. So like, what do you call it? Humility, patience, courage, all these virtues, they're just circling around the same thing as love. And when it comes to other people, we want to say, I love you. But it's a very tricky word to use that way, because then, It's like, oh, you love me. Well, now you got to do this, now you got to do that. It comes with contracts and terms and conditions and all that shit. It's got a lot of baggage to it. So most of the time, I try to avoid that word. That's not a word I like. I like to say, if true love, two people, they together all the way up until they dead, and everything went well. It wasn't all arguing and fighting, and they weren't just doing it through willpower. They did it through will, not willpower. Will. They don't want to say that what happened there was that these two people were free. At any point during their entire relationship, they could have left at any time and no one would have been upset. They could have done anything they wanted. No one would have been upset. Like your girl cheats on you, you're going to get angry at her? Well, then guess what? It didn't fit into the description of true love. Because it just lets it pass. It's not something that should bother you. Now, the reason why could be about it. Because let's say she's doing it because you're an asshole. Well, okay. Or she's doing it because she's bored with you. At a certain point, maybe someone's just so infatuated with the idea. You gotta let them go. Let it go. But that's how it's done. If you want to fall in love with a person, you don't put a contract out. You don't put out terms and conditions. Okay? You meet the person where they're at. And it's like you're trying to get to know the person over a long period of time. It take 20, 30, 40 years. Most people think it's quick. It's not. Those first feelings you're feeling, that's lust. That's not love. All right? Love comes way later. Lust comes first. All right? So, what you're going to end up doing, is you're going to get to know them. As you get to know them, at every point, there's a decision point. And you're either looking for green flags or you're looking for red flags. Or you're going to miss the green flags, you're going to miss the red flags. You're not looking for them. And you could end up in a relationship that you think is love, but it's really torture. From an objective point of view, if everybody was to look at it, they'd see torture. Obviously, from the subjective point of view, it might look like it's all dandy and shit. The house could be burning, it'll look all dandy. So let's not trust how we feel. Get a little bit more objective about things, and let's see let's look at how we behave, how we act. Now, on another note, when it comes to wooing a woman, make sure you're in the right place at the right time. Okay? Don't just be going in this for whatever ideas you're going in for. If you're going to woo a woman, you better be certain it could end up long term. It's just a possibility. You put it in the back of your head and you go, okay, from here, till we're dating, I'm going to treat it as if it could be long term. Why would I want to do that? Because it ensures I don't act like an ass or say stupid shit. I don't act in weird ways, because you're thinking long term. Try to have a little bit of that. Especially when it comes down to the relationship itself. As you two are dating, okay, you gotta learn. Friends are cool. Friends are awesome. Friends are lovely. This is the decision point. I'm not gonna make my joke about it. But this is the decision point. Either you want to spend more time with your friends, or you want to spend more time with your significant other. Alright? Again, it doesn't have to be male, female. That's my paradigm, but it doesn't have to be yours. And if yours is different, we're going to start calling them from significant others from now. That covers everybody. Alright. So your significant other, you're going to want to spend time with them. It should feel like you want to spend more time with them than with your friend. And not just to fuck, but, to chill, to watch movies together, talk, do hobbies, go outside. Like, you can still, you got your friends, you and your girl, go out. Yeah, and that's another thing I don't understand. You going out, like, I can understand if it's like, not even on a bachelor's night, actually. No, I couldn't understand it. Why can't she come on? What the fuck is wrong with you? But yeah, you're in a relationship. She wants to come along. She's allowed. Don't let your friends or the significant other wants to come along. They're allowed. Don't let the other friends of yours decide how your relationship is going to develop. Otherwise, it probably doesn't end up in the right place. It just won't. you know, you got to be thinking about things like that. I mean, who do you really want to spend more time with? You got to come to that decision point. If you want to be hanging out with your friends, playing video games, hey, be honest about it. Don't come up to her telling her lies about you love her, this and this and that. All you're doing is hurting people when you do it. And more importantly, you're hurting yourself because as the years pass by, you're gonna turn into a cruel, capricious little idiot. Never learning a damn thing. Getting angry at women because you don't understand. One day you'll be fucking 40 or some shit talking about, oh, women are bitches, and we need to show them their place, and if only these sluts want to be on OnlyFans or some shit, and you'll be coming up with 1,000,001 reasons why you couldn't get far in your life, because it shouldn't be that hard. Like, literally, just let it go, man. Let her do what she wants to do. If she wants to stick around, she'll stick around. If she wants to leave, she'll leave. Your character is the only thing that should be holding her there. Not your promises, not your force, not your this, not your that. It's your character. Who you are as a person. People gravitate to that. Like moths to a fucking fire. They love that shit. Because it's a rare thing to find, Character. Like, really rare. You're gonna look around. Maybe you won't even be able to tell that it's rare to find. You might think it's common. And that could be true. But, for the most part, in general, most people are having really hard times with their relationships because they're making way too many demands of the other person. They're not listening to the other person. They're not. Like, when I'm thinking about my life, and like, let's say I had a significant other. I'd be thinking about my life, I make sure that I'm not doing things that could possibly, be upsetting. Things of that nature. That's why those kind of relationships, they come with their own things. They come with the promise of a home. Doesn't matter who you are, trans, LGBTQ+, doesn't matter. It all ends up in the same place. Obviously, the male and female can make kids. The rest of y'all got to adopt them. But that's good because there's a lot of shitty parents out there. And y'all could really help. Again, let's face it, there's a lot of shitty parents out there. And these kids could really use the help. So that's kind of nice too, So I'm like cool with that shit too. Like motherfuckers get upset when they'll be like, oh, this motherfucker's gay. That's so fucked up. We should ban him or some shit. I'm like, dude, man, you should be cheering the fact that he's fucking gay. The fact that he's fucking gay means there's more women for us. What the fuck, man? Can you count? Anyway. Plus, being gay allows for the possibility of being bi. I don't know about you, but I believe so. I always wondered if I was man enough to actually get it up in front of two. That can be a little intimidating. But it is what it is. And life is life. And those moments of emasculation, don't take that shit personally, duh. Or emasculation or whatever around sexual prowess or non-prowess. Obviously right now state things are, it can be a little embarrassing because people are always just judgmental and shit. But you ever find a person who's not judgmental? You walk through the process like it's fucking education and shit. Oh shit, I came too fast. Well, maybe it's because I haven't had sex in a very long time. So now I'm going to have sex. And then my tolerance is going to build up. And I'll be able to have sex longer. Oh no, it's taking her too long to come. Well, that could be emasculating. But you could think of it as a positive and start using your tongue and your fingers. Maybe you could get a dildo or a Hitachi Magic Wand. You know what I'm saying? I keep forgetting about the significant other part. You know, but you know, I can apply, just switch out the words and it applies in a way. You know, still works. But you know, you gotta experiment a little bit, man. If you don't know who you're, that's one of the biggest problems with relationships nowadays. You know, a lot of people are coming into relationships, they've never really dated before. They've never really just gone around the block before. They've never, you know, dipped into the pond a few times. And you got to do that shit, man, women, everybody alike. All right? You can't be in. Why is my woman cheating on me? Maybe because she had a repressed sexual childhood, and then when she finally got sexually liberated, she was like, fuck this shit, and fuck the patriarchy. I'm out, son. So she started sucking 2 dicks at once for the fun of it. That shit happens. And I applaud it. The same thing with the man. You know, the man sexually frustrated, incapable, and then all of a sudden, he's with a girl, she's treating him nice, but all of a sudden he starts to feel he's losing interest. Why? Because he never really dated before. He never been with anybody else before. Now he's wondering about that shit. He's like, man, I could have been like a Don Juan Castaneda type shit, or Don Juan Quixote type shit, and fucking going out and doing this and doing that. You know? So, before you start relationships, I always say, get to the experimental phase first, man. Go around, have your fun, do your things, party, you know? Because if you don't get that out the way, it's going to fuck you later, right? It's just going to fuck you later. It's going to be, you know, prudish in bed. There's going to be a lot of things that takes a long time to. It's just, can 2 people do it? Yeah, sure. They can make it the most funnest experience possible, too. But they both got to know what they're getting into to begin with. You know? And usually something like that, a decision like that, isn't made because it's natural. It's made because it's social, cultural, or it's cultural, social, religious, you know, psychological. You know, it's usually something like that. It has nothing to do with your innate being. Your innate being should be like a fucking monkey going fucking everything around it before it finds a home. Same thing with the woman. The woman should be out there partying sexually. And that's the thing. Fucking men, yo, I swear, man. You guys got problems. A sexually liberated woman is a scary thing. Yeah, sure. But learn to fucking control yourselves, guys. Be fucking lax and sit the fuck down. On that note, understand something. You've got to admit that if a woman's really fine and that scares you, then you do not love women. Okay? You love the idea of a pet, not a woman. But, you know, that's hard to see because the ones that are the victims are the women, and they themselves are going to say, no, we don't feel that way. I mean, of course you don't. You've been beat down. Give it some time. If you ever meditate, you get to a point where you really relax, you start getting tranquil, and you open up to the universe, you just might feel that way. Because at that point, subjective experience really won't matter much, and who you are on the inside, it's going to show up. Whether you like it or not, it's going to show up. And it's liberating. It's joyful. It's independent. It's unconditional. It's spontaneous, lyrical, poetic. You know, it's a lot of things. But the one thing it's not is timid. Right? Human beings are not timid. I start seeing a human being timid, and I know things are going on. Things are going on. They should be adventurous, out there, do. The only reason they would ever be timid, bad parenting, improper environment, shitty schooling, indoctrination, you know, blase. Because, you know, it makes the whole thing funny because you're going to do a lot of tests, you're going to do a lot of studies, and you're going to miss a lot of shit because you're misinterpreting all the data, thinking it has to do, like, introvert, extrovert. Yeah, let's act like there's introverts and extroverts while never dealing with the problem of the psyche. It's like, before we even look into introverts and extroverts, we got to figure out how to fix this for people. And to fix this for people, it doesn't just take loving parents. It takes a healthy environment. It's why humanity's, for the most part, getting to this place is rare. Most humans won't ever experience it because reality's never been conducive to such a thing. Ever. In history. Yeah, sure, people have renaissance and this and that. Those are tiny little momentary, bouts of happiness is what I call them. They disappear very quickly. And they don't last. And for what they are, they're still limited in their confines. Well, nowadays that can change a little. We've gotten to learn a lot more about the confines. If a renaissance were to ever occur, and it was led correctly, like, there were just the right people in that country or whatever when that renaissance occurred, that shit could stick around for a long time nowadays. It's just because of the nature of technology and shit. We have science now. We have all science. But, until we get to the point where we actually know how to raise flowers in a garden, we really can't expect them to be flowers. We can expect them to be everything else but a fool. You know what I'm saying? So all the other data isn't, we're not collecting data on prime time human beings. We're collecting data on severely damaged, traumatized human beings. Severely lied to, we call it blind, deaf, and dumb human beings. That's where we're all getting all our data from right now. That's the majority of the planet right now. And it sucks. I know. But cool thing is, there's a lot of people, they meditate, they do yogas and shit. You got your stoics and shit, chasing virtue. There's a lot of people out there trying to help with that specific problem with the fact that the garden's just fucked up and we need to figure out a way to fix it. I'm not talking about profit, I'm not talking about this. I don't fuck y'all look at. I'm talking about actually fixing the causes and effects that override our initial conditions. The fact that history's been occurring for a long time. People are getting upset about a lot of shit. Like Trump, man. This guy's just instigating shit left and right. And it's an easy tactic to see. It's a divide and conquer strategy. It's assisted by misinformation. Misinformation kind of creates this little bubble where nobody knows what the fuck is going on. Makes it very easy to divide and conquer people. And Americans, they don't like arguing with their own family. So they're pretty much cool with most of what Trump has to say. Because they know that if they're really going to fight Trump, they've got to fight their cousins and their mothers and their brothers. But really, it's a complicated scene. I was just hoping to talk about love. I had no idea why I was switching to rant. I apologize, but I'm not going to get rid of it. We'll keep it there. Alright. I'm gonna. Have a good day, alright? Peace.